Gonna take a minute for what's going on. This is Lawrence D. Adams. Lawrence D. Adams. And Jono, and we are here today. It's gonna take a minute, I know, because the notifications had to go out. So I know I don't want to be on repeat mode, repeating what we got to talk about tonight, because I know it happens. Because everybody's, I didn't hear what you said the first time. So we just
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Hey, I like that camera, man. What kind of camera is that? It's like it's focusing on you, and then the outside is like blurry.
Yeah, it's an effect. If you have like an NVIDIA RTX video card, they have this new thing called NVIDIA Broadcast, where it'll loop your cameras through the software of your graphics card, and then I'm looking at my RTX processor. It's like all the way at 50% right now. It's literally generating a background without having a green screen. So what I'm using is the blur effect. It's taking the original background and putting a blur effect on it, the bokeh effect.
Oh, I like that, man.
You can use it to follow you. Let's say you're walking around a room, you can use it to follow you. You can use it to do a couple of other things too, even do a full background, recreate.
Right, man. I like that a lot, man. I like that a lot. Hey, I like that a lot. I'm going to get it. We got one person watching, but yeah, this is Lawrence D. Adams. Tonight we're talking about compete or go home. Compete or go home. So I know it's going to take a minute because I can hear when the ding happens, when a notification, and then sometimes the notifications do not go out. So I got to get around that too. So I'm going to get a list for people who are here so they can get the notification when we go live. But we go live every Tuesday, so you know there's no
reason. You're getting used to it. You're supposed to be bringing people on top of people here now at this point.
Right. The notification just went out. I just heard a ding. So yeah, this man, we talking today. Let me move this camera back a little bit. Yeah, it just went through right there. So yeah, so man, today, like I said, I was sharing before we got on, it's been a good weekend and also introspection of what's been going on inside of me. But also I thought about when I looked at the individual we were talking to offline, it was about compete or go home. It was about compete or go home. And I think a lot of times guys and women, I'm not gonna say just men, but I'm gonna say for men, you have to compete or you have to go home. And I think a lot of times we're in the culture where everyone wants to be award for second place, but guess what? There's no award for second place. There's only an award for those who win first place. There can only be one NBA champion a year, and there can only one person who can win the NFL. There's only one person who can win at baseball. That's how it works, and that's only the best, and they compete to get there. And I think a lot of times we don't think we have to compete because we are ribbon. Everybody gets a ribbon. No, everybody doesn't get a ribbon.
Yeah,
and so yeah. So what do you think about that so far? I see my notes.
I mean, I think that if you take yourself and put, make a list of all the things that that you're capable of doing, you really have a roadmap of where your own personal game has begun. A lot of times people look at their past and they can see where they came from, and they can say, okay, my present is a sum total of all my past items, and then where's my competition right now? You're really competing against yourself. You're really putting yourself where you want to now get to the next level. In my 20s, I bought a starter house, but when I was approaching my 30s, I said, I need to get a house for my family where I could hold like a substantial amount of, space for everybody to be comfortable. And I was in competition with myself to change that. You know what I'm saying? And even now, I'm seeing that now that I have, we're in the middle of a pandemic and we have a situation where we got, six people trying to be professionals at their particular, roles, 2 full-time jobs and then four full-time students in that position, I even see the urge to compete against myself to move again, and I'm not afraid of it because I'm just going to multiply the effort I did the last few times I did it.
Right. See, that's the thing. People do not want to compete because everybody wants to get the blue ribbon. Everyone cannot get the blue ribbon. Even in school, we competed. Spelling bees. What reading group you were in? There was the slow reading group, and then there was the people who could read really well. You were competing. Yeah. You were at some level, you were competing. And I think what happens is, you say that again? Go ahead.
I said I got kids in orchestra, and there's a division within the orchestra called the chamber. The chamber orchestra group is a very small group, and they got to meet extra Saturdays. Sometimes they got to give up, their lunch hour and stuff like that. It's because they're competing for a different type of goal. It's not the same goal as the whole rest of the school who's taking those instruments. My son had to learn the cello, and my son had to learn the viola, and my other son had to learn the violin, and I had another one learn the flute. It was like, these people, they would tell them, listen, you got to go to a different type of training, and since, one of your children was willing to go, they put them all in the chamber orchestra. So it's like, now I got 4 people in there when most families not even challenged at that level. I'm not trying to show up. I'm just saying that there's certain levels that you're being challenged by. Competition comes with challenge. If you're being competed against, you're being challenged at a level that will either prove you're a winner or get out of the way.
That's what most people don't want. So let me go to the first one, and you said it already. Life was designed for you to compete. Life was designed for you to compete. And that's what most people don't realize. I don't care what level you at, what you're doing, you're going to have to compete. You're going to let's go to the other side, but you're going to have to compete on some level. There is competition. If you do not realize that, what's going to happen is you're going to go to the back of the line, you're going to get the crumbs off the table, and you're going to be the one begging for everything because you did not take the time to say, I need to compete for what is mine. Life was designed for you to compete, plain and simple.
It's true. A lot of people don't even consider the goal attainable unless there was some competition to get it. If you were going, what if every race on a racetrack was designed by time trials and not actually beating other racers? Yeah, you'd be beating, one race against the other, but you would not know if you really beat them because they wouldn't be on the track with you. So you really feel like you're in the winner's circle when you have a person on the track to compete against. And that's the thing. We feel like we're winning now because we actually physically beat somebody. We didn't just look at a clock.
Right. And that's what most people miss at. They don't realize that when you came out your mother's womb, you automatically were competing for everything around you. Her attention, her love, her affection, food, whatever it was, you were competing. But the thing of it is, somewhere, I don't know what year it was, but I'm not sure, somewhere the society have walked away from that part of saying that we need to compete and that no one's competition. So what happened is we are weakening the nation, or weaken the men, because we're talking to majority men, weaken the men because we now don't teach them to compete for what's theirs, how to compete for their family, how to compete to have better. And so what happened is we are weakened, and now we have a bunch of men who are now comfortable with not competing.
Yeah.
And they're comfortable playing second fiddle. They're comfortable of just getting by. And that's a problem.
Yeah. It's almost like you got to feel sorry for someone who didn't, have the same ability, and you're going to come up with a bunch of vices or excuses why they didn't succeed. And I'm not trying to take away from anybody's disability, because those are real things. But there's levels of competition even within those areas. What I think that we need to go back to is some grassroots thought process. I mean, old fashioned, because old fashioned taking us back too far, not too good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'm just thinking from an ideology of, you know, letting people be held accountable for themselves, instead of a list of excuses. Are you held accountable to the reason why you couldn't do something, or will you be accountable for the reason why you did something? I have a clear example of accountability that I went through recently. I was trying to market a product, and I was like, I'm really interested in getting some help with it. And, somebody had offered me some help, and I was sitting there like, wow, that's a great idea, And, because they're a friend, they definitely, reached out to me and was like, yeah, I can do this for you. But, in the end, if I gotta keep pushing the button, was that real help? Where's your accountability? Where's your self-motivation? Where's your, ability to feel like you got to win? And I think that if you have to do too much of that, that means that the world has been coddling you. The world has been giving you, too many band-aids and not enough time to heal. And I think that we're gonna suffer because I think we need to stand up as real men and real women and take over the place. That's the reason why we got all this shenanigans going on the television right now, because we just we gave the reins up to whoever we feel can do the best job. We're not going out and voting. We're not going out and speaking our mind. We're not protesting. We're not at least putting our voice to good use. We're just letting somebody else run everything, and we're all becoming spectators in a big game. Imagine we're all in a big stadium right now. We're all spectators. We're not we're not on the field playing the ball. We're not in the game. We're complaining and trolling on people who are not us, but we got a big opinion about everybody else. They're the ones competing, and they're winning. Whether they lost the game and they can take that information to the next game and win again, but they at least got skin in the game. If you're standing on the sidelines, or you're standing in the stadium, or you're standing out on the line trying to get into the stadium, then you're not competing.
Right. And that's what it is. We have man, I just said, I'm just cut to the chase, man. We got a lot of crybabies who are not competing, complaining about the ones who are competing. What are you going to do to bring change? What are you going to do? Are you going to cry? Are you going to play the victimhood? Just woe is me. It ain't fair. No way. Life is not fair. I told my sons this: no one's going to do it for you but you. And they look at me like, what? No one's going to put in the work but you. You got to get out there and get it.
Yeah,
and I think what happens is we are weakened. Yeah, we do. And no one wants. That's why I'm looking at just whoever the one person is. Thank you for being here watching. I can see you. Thank you. Because you know what? No one wants to hear this. Everybody wants to. Oh, you're so good. You're a nice guy. You everything's going to work out fine. No, you're going to have to compete. If you're talking about women, you're going to have to compete. That goes to my next thing. The competition is really. You said it earlier. The competition really is. Your competition is normally an old mindset. That's what you're fighting against. You're competing about an old mindset that's stopping you from getting to where you need to go. Your old mindset. And you had to compete and say, I do not want to stay here. How can I be better than what I was before? They jumped off with that one person with, I guess, one spot.
You're literally competing with yourself. You're literally competing with a version of you that wasn't successful last time and tried it and said, we're going to try this again. You're going to waste your time. What are you doing? Why would you do that? It's like you're fighting in your own mind. And you know what? You got to beat that enemy first before you can even fight the obstacles that's coming up against you in this new challenge.
Right.
You got to fight the enemy that tells you don't get out the nest, let alone jump off the cliff to see if that parachute work. You know what I'm saying? How are you supposed to know the parachute work if you don't even get out the nest to step off the cliff, to pull the ripcord to get the parachute to open? It's like you got so many steps to go, but you stuck in the nest getting coddled under your mother, keeping you warm and they're doing all the work for you. You know what I'm saying? And I don't really care about the offensive side of that. It sounds so cliche, but at the same time, it's exactly what's happening. You're being coddled by the community. You're being coddled by your friends, everybody agreeing with you and not telling you that you need to get off your ass. It's so disgusting. Like, God, how could you exist like that with everybody giving you high fives for every little thing you do? I see guys up there, oh, I worked out today. So what? You know what I'm saying? You lived your life. I bought my kid a ice cream today. You're supposed to. That's your job. Why am I
Right.
giving you credit for fatherhood? You know what I'm saying? Why am I giving you credit for being a human being in a human world? Like that's, do something straight. Tell me how many people you fed today that was hungry, that was homeless. You know what I'm saying? Tell me what you did to take care of a person who had a need in this pandemic, that their life would have been way off worse if you didn't help them. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me how you helped yourself. That's
Right.
coddling, and you're in no competition with anybody if you want credit for regular stuff.
And that's the problem. People want credit for regular stuff. I'm going to go to the next one. Competing forces you to reveal your strengths and your weaknesses. Because when you compete, you're going to find, I ran track, man. And when I used to run track, it's going to reveal whether did you practice or you didn't go to practice. Because when you're out there competing on that field and there's another team, it's going to show whether your muscles is if you relax, if you stretch. It's going to reveal if you got enough wind in your lungs. It's going to reveal a lot. And what happens is it forces you to reveal your strengths and your weaknesses. And sometimes people do not want to reveal their strengths and their weaknesses because it's going to be a reflection of what they need to adjust. So when it came to me running that race and where I placed at, it revealed what I need to work on to be at a better competitive level for the next race. But if I never ran the first race, I would have never known where I need to make the adjustments for the next race.
Exactly. It's called conditioning. And if we don't realize that even our mind has to be conditioned with exercises in situations where we all have made a decision that we're going to move forward and decide that this last incident was to teach us, and we're going to take that and observe and identify our strength and our weaknesses, then it was a waste of time we made in the first place. And yeah, you should talk yourself out of it next time. You're not going to use the information for good or use the information as valid data, then why'd you do it? What was the purpose to even join it? You weren't going to be Carl Lewis. You wasn't going to be, Jackie Joyner-Kersee. You knew you weren't going to be as good at them when you did it, but why'd you do it? Because you wanted to get better. And you knew by doing this was going to be another notch on the board, and you were going to get better the next time after that.
Right. And that's the thing. Competition forces you to reveal your strengths and your weaknesses. The next one, there's no prize for second place. I don't care how much people want to have it. There's only one gold. There's only one gold. When you're looking at the Olympics, they only give a gold medal to one person. Next one is silver. The next one is bronze. Still, the number one goal is still the gold. And I think what happens is we want to give everybody so they feel good and happy and cuddle. And like our mentor used to say, well, that's something else he said. But you cannot get it by being second place. First place should be your ultimate goal. And when you settle in that way, which a lot of people have settled, guess what happens? They live a life of regret because they didn't push themselves further than where they can go.
Not only that, they don't live a life of fulfillment because they don't realize that there was more they can get. A lot of people are happy. They stop at the minimum wage. They don't realize that, oh wait, minimum. I got to get at least that $15 an hour. Oh, I made it. I can still live in my mama's basement with no care in the world. My car insurance is paid. I got $100 for groceries, and that's all I need.
Right.
That's all I need. Everybody just said, I got what I need. You know what?
Right.
You know what? That's a false positive.
Right.
It's a false positive. You're not supposed to be here to be just comfortable. You're supposed to be happy. And I say that very often. I love the fact that some of these points come back to this age-old thought. Like, you're supposed to be happy. You're supposed to be deciding, you know what? In my head, I've got a dream and a desire to drive a motorcycle. And guess what? Even though I'm driving a economy car right now to work, but on the weekends I want to be able to drive free with my bicycle and take it to a mountain ridge and be free on these roads. Guess what? That's a goal, and that's a way to be happy. That's a way to be out of the norm. That's a way to, you got to get your salary above that $15. You got to get your time invested, get your overtime in so you can save up that money and get to a goal. So you can actually smile when you wake up in the morning. So listen, this Monday to Friday may be kicking my behind, but guess what? On Saturday, I'm heading out on the open road because I made bicycle riding or motorcycle riding a goal,
Yeah, that's it. We had one person in the chat room, but yeah, you were the only one watching, so it don't matter to me. I'm going to keep going. Number 5, greatness is birthed when you compete for what you want. Greatness is birthed when you compete for what you want, and that's where you just said it just prior, a couple sentences back. Until you get to the place where you might be stopping short of right where you need to be at, because you're not willing to compete to the next level. And that's where greatness is birthed at. It's when you compete and push yourself to go to the next level. And that's powerful. Because think about it, we stopped and being comfortable where we need to be at just being comfortable, and never birth and go into the place where I want to be happy. Look at all the things you would have missed out on if you stopped right at that place.
Yeah. Like you never see me. That's why you always see me, excited about, and then people make a big mistake and they start thinking, oh, that person's a show off. He's always showing what he got or whatever. No, it's actually not showing up. It's proven I made it to another plateau. I did it on purpose, and here's the reward. You understand? Last year I was on a huge goal to pick up the Galaxy Fold. It's a nice phone that came out, whatever, and I was like, oh, you know what? I reached that goal. I was able to find a way to get the phone, and I found out all the reasons I was going to be productive with it. I made sure that my life was changed because of it. And all of a sudden, the Fold 2 comes out this year. Now, if somebody looked at it and said, okay, well, the average person spends about $500 on a phone now. That's pretty expensive, $500 is a pretty expensive phone, but the way the market's going now, you really need to be spending like $1,000 on a phone.
Mm-hmm.
This phone was $1,800. Okay. Ooh. So when, people very close to me were looking at me like, oh, wow, you got the Fold? That's an $1,800 phone. Plus you had to get all the accessories that go with it. Probably spend about $2,500, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why in God's name would you go and get the Fold 2? Like, are you nuts? Are you crazy? Like, yeah, I am. You know why? Because in my mind, it's not to keep up with the Joneses. I don't got no competition. Ain't nobody looking at me. Nobody I knew bought the regular Fold. Why was it important for me to get the Fold 2? It's because I found the value in the item itself, and it made me more productive in my workplace. So I rewarded myself with even further. You understand? So now that phone is worth something. The one I had was worth something to someone else. I'm already ahead of the game. I'm selling that phone and I'm getting the next one because I'm trying to one up myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in competition with myself. I got to get the next thing because I know that new phone has new features, more capabilities, more processing, more. It's got 5G. I got a whole list of reasons to get it. But guess what? It's because I leveled up.
Right.
I leveled up. And you know what? If I buy the same car and I have the same car, yeah, you know what? Yeah, it was a golden achievement at the time, but I'm gonna get something else later.
Right.
You saw it when we first started doing the broadcast. What kind of camera I had? You saw it when we first started the broadcast. I said, I'm gonna change everything. I'm not gonna deal with the same setup because I want it to be different and I want to have the benefit of what's new.
Right.
And now I have a reason to go there.
Right. Right. And that's it. So let's go to the next one. Entitlement will rob you of your goals. A lot of people believe they're entitled just because of who they are, that they are entitled to their goals. And what I'm getting at is, with this one, is just because of who you are does not automatically dictate that you deserve to get to go, because you have not put anything skin in the game to actually get it. And I think a lot of times we're in an entitlement society where they think they're entitled because, I'm Mr. Jones and I'm entitled to, I don't really need to compete for anything because I'm Mr. Jones. No, guess what? You still have to do something to put out there to reach your goal, or to even compete. And that's another side little thing that I think a lot of people miss, is that they feel that they're entitled to not to even compete when life is designed for you to compete.
You know what I'm gonna tell you? I'm gonna tell you this: entitlement comes from someone else. Entitlement doesn't come from you. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Entitlement comes from your mom. Entitlement comes from your dad. Entitlement comes from everybody in your life that kisses you behind and tells you you're the greatest, even though you're not. And guess what? When you get out in the real world, you get your behind kicked.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Entitlement comes from all the accolades and the praise you get from someone else, and it actually is false. It's a false sense of security. It's a false sense of entitlement. That's what the entitlement itself is, a false consciousness. You need to realize that you need to come up with your own goals. And deep inside, you know you're unhappy. You know things are not right. You know that you should not be behaving that way, but you will still take the opinion of someone else who's kissing you behind and go with that truth, and you're never going to get anywhere. It's a sad reality.
Yeah, it is. Look what Andrew wrote. Just expect certain things to will work out. Bitter experience taught me you have to go out and make it happen. Dude.
That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people miss. Let's go to another one. The next, number 7. I didn't realize I had so many of them. Sometimes you have to go. Sometimes going home happens to be the fire you need to win at life. Sometimes you not winning is what you need to build the fire inside of you so that you can take over and win next time. See, a lot of times, a lot of people don't want to deal with failure. They don't want to deal that they didn't do good, because everybody wants to be a winner all the time. Sometimes you going home and sitting thinking about, like, you know what, man, why did I lose? Why did that happen? Oh my God. And then you get a fire inside of you. Say, I will not go there again. Sometimes that is the biggest thing you need to happen to you, is for you to take your butt and go home.
Yeah. Think about it. Regular season games are designed to have chances for people to win and lose before the playoffs in every sport, right? That win and lose contest that comes up in every sport is a chance for people to go home with their tail between their legs at some point, get a chance to go back and regroup, reevaluate, and then come back swinging. You know why? Because they know the real winners are going to come back and learn from those experiences. Not everybody who has a full season wins every game in the season. That's why there's 7 games in the basketball season. That's why when you get to certain levels of football and certain levels of baseball, there's series and different. You have to compete with the same team more than once. It's because they want to know that even though they don't want this to be a lucky shot, they want you to have put in the work so that you can get the goal. And sometimes you have to get kicked in your behind, sent home to your mama, to coddle you for a little bit, and then you gotta go back and reevaluate and say, you know what, this was all me. I'm gonna learn what I did here, and I'm gonna take this and go back out there swinging and get the right benefit from it. That's the whole point.
That leads to the next one. You have to study your competition. And I think a lot of times people do not realize, we talked about the competition is you, but there are other people that you are competing with, because you're competing in this world. You have to study your competition. People doing what you do. People who are doing the things that you want to do. You have to study your competition. If you do not study your competition, guess what's going to happen? You're bound to fail. I study my competition every day. I watch their videos. I see what they're doing, what they're not doing. I'm learning what is their angle so that I can beat them in the game that I plan. If you do not study your competition, you're also bound to lose.
Yeah. If we take the opportunity to go and look at the people who we are influenced by, because think about it, we all have our dream to go after. It's because it's built on the admiration, not the jealousy, not the envy, but the admiration of others. Now, the person you're in competition with might very well be somebody that is a mentor. It might be somebody who you are very fond of. And it's okay. That is your competition, because if that person trained you right, they would tell you, listen, you're supposed to do greater works than me. So it's your responsibility to get better than them. It's your responsibility. You know, if the Dodge brothers that worked at Ford didn't find flaws in the Ford product, they wouldn't have made Dodge Chrysler and their own car company that's just as successful as them today.
Right.
Did you know that? It took them being birthed out of that situation. It took if I'm not mistaken, Nikolai Tesla was brought into a lab to beat out what Edison was trying to do with direct current, and he came up with a better product. He had backing of a major investor. I forgot the name, but Nikolai Tesla actually came up with accelerated current, and the only reason why he's not the famous name right now is because of a smear campaign from Thomas Edison. Yes, Thomas Edison was the bigger name. Yes, he was the better inventor from, he did all this other stuff, but he actually was most talented at smearing the campaign for accelerated current, which is actually the thing we're using today.
See,
we're using the more accelerated current. We're talking on accelerated current right now. DC, which is what Edison came up with, that's the batteries that's in your flashlight. But the thing that powers your house and the thing that powers your this stream right now and this and all this stuff going across off or over power lines, that's what Nikolai Tesla came up with. He was in direct competition with him, and all it took was to will the man out of his own life. He died a poor man. Because this competition, he felt he couldn't beat it, and the investors took his money and said, "Well, in order to beat them, we gotta write you out of your own contract for your own product." That's how easy the goal could be taken away from you. That's how easy your riches could be taken away from you, just by convincing you that you're not as successful or talented as you really are. You have to believe in yourself.
Got to believe in yourself, and you got to study your competition. Or just the other one. I got two more, and this is it. I think one more really. 1 second would decide if you win or go home. Don't give up. Sometimes we are just 1 millisecond away from accomplishing our goals or where we need to be at. And you give up right before you obtain it. You give up right before you obtain it. And so many people give up on the dream, the thing they want to accomplish, right at the second when they can almost taste it. It's like going to Thanksgiving dinner. You smell the turkey. You smell the dressing and whatever else the fixings there, the sides, but you decide to go home because the food wasn't ready yet. And so many people do that because they're right in the kitchen.
That's actually evidence. There's evidence of the goal right there.
Yeah.
What about the miner who goes to the mine to pull out rubies and gold out of the rock and dirt that's in the mine, and all they see is a couple of specks of dust, and they say, "Oh, you know what? This mine is bare. This mine is not going to bear us any precious metals or stones," and they give up when all they had to do was pick the axe maybe 2 more times and they would have made it to the 10 karat rock. But you didn't have the faith in your own project to realize that this was the goal, and you just saw that your goal was going to be too far away, and you gave up on it. That's what I'm talking about. Like remember, faith is the ability to see something that's not in front of you and walk right into it with your eyes closed as if it was already there. And you're pulling it toward you. That's faith. You have to have the faith to persevere. And perseverance is where you pull yourself past that 1 second that will decide if you're going to win or go home.
And people are right there. So let me go to the next one. Just because you won last week doesn't mean you're going to win this week. I don't know where that came from, but it just made sense. And I think a lot of people get into that arrogancy that thinks because you won last week don't mean you're going to win this week. You have to fight just as hard as you did last week as you're going to fight this week.
Complacency is that, that sure-footed, egotistical pathway that we all take when we think we know how to win, and we don't humble ourselves to treat it like the first race they ever had. What the true secret to winning is to treat it like you never won before, and you want that so bad that you will go after it every time. How do winners keep going on and on and on? How does the race car driver that has won a race before win multiple times in the future? It's because they treat it as if it's their last race, and they also treat it like it's their first race.
Mm-hmm.
The first race they ever had, they probably lost it. The last race they're going to have is mean they're not going to race no more. So they got to race for their life.
Right.
So you have to treat it with both mindsets and keep that in focus every time you're trying to achieve your goal, because that is the proof of determination that you're going to win. Not thinking that you already won. It's supposed to be that I worked my behind off to win.
Right. And don't ever, like Annalena said, don't ever have a defeated mindset ever. So let's go back over the list. Life was designed for you to compete. Your competition is normally in an old mindset. Competing forces you to reveal your strengths and your weakness. There's no prize. People are coming in for we didn't talk all this for fourth place, for second place. Greatness is birthed when you compete for what you want. Entitlement will rob you of your goals. Sometimes going home happens to be the best thing you can do to build the fire for you to win. You have to study your competition. 1 second will decide if you win or go home. Don't give up. And just because you won last week doesn't mean that you're going to win this week. So we covered I got 10 of them that quick that we covered in these last 30 minutes that everybody's jumping on now. I knew that was going to happen. So I got to figure it out how to get that right spot, sweet spot, so everybody can come on. But either you got to compete or you got to go home. Plain and simple. And I pick crybabies, and I probably offended a lot of people, but there's no time for crying about it. If you're crying about it, you're playing the victim. Whoa, it's me, it's the government, it's Trump, it's Biden, it's this one, it's that one. Guess what? You already defeated right there. You got to realize that it starts with you. It always starts in you. The next thing is, well, how does this apply to women in game and things? No woman wants a man who's not competing in life to go after what he wants. Just be honest. And if she do want you, you better look, because normally she's at a lower pace, lower level than what you are. And she's going to pull you further back, and y'all are not going to accomplish anything. So it's so important that you compete in life. Life is about competition. I listened to Dr. Claude Anderson today, and he was explaining about race. Race was only brought up in the 1800s, 17 or 1800s. And it was mainly a thing of design for competition. That's what it was about. This race competing against that race, or this group, a family, or this tribe. Would and then he went further on explaining how it got to where we at now. And I was misconstrued and everything like that. But my point is, we have lost the baton of fighting for what we want or competing. And we expect everyone to give it to us without us working for what we want. We want everybody to give us free game. Man, I'm gonna get on. He gonna LDA and John gonna give me the free game on how to get all these women. No, it's a price you got to pay for this.
Yeah. You have to put your time into it, and you have to actually pay attention. If you don't do any of those things, you're just wasting your time right now. Mm-hmm. Like, you know how valuable this information is. So at the end of the day, you should need to take notes. You tell other people about it, because the more people in your circle that Britta, if you're the smartest person in your group, then you shouldn't be in that group. So the reason why you should bring other people here is to make sure you elevate your entire circle at the same time. Because when you get leveled up with your mind and you take things to another level and you start competing at a different level, you're gonna start looking at other people in your circle like, why are you even in my life? So you need to get everybody leveled up around you so that you can feel comfortable in your new plateau.
Right. And I think that's the thing of it is, we're so used to everybody being the same, because we're scared of, we're used to everybody being the same. And well, it's okay. Everybody, we're comfortable. Like you said earlier, being comfortable will rob you of your greatness. I don't care where you at. I don't care if there's 3 people watching. I don't care. My thing is this: if I can get, and we can get the message out that you realize that you have to compete or you're going to go home, and that this broadcast is not for everybody. This is not for the weak. This is not for the complainers. This is not for the whiners. This is not for the one who cannot handle hard or strong medicine. This is for those who want to go to the next level. This is what this for. Oh yeah, it's building momentum. But the thing of it is, if I don't say this now, you can't say I didn't never bring it up in the past. This broadcast is for those who are intelligent, who want to go to the next level.
Yeah. If anybody that was here and did not come back, they know that they already put themselves out the door. You can't come to something like this, get this type of food, leave and don't come back. You know why? You just already decided in your mind, I'm putting a mental barrier up, and I've decided I'm not gonna take myself to the next level. You did not accept the challenge.
Right.
When you come in this room, when you come in on this stream, you are accepting a challenge. And the challenge is to change who you are, because you are frustrated by what that is,
Yeah. And that's what it is. Salute, LDA. I rock with all your stuff. Respect, Jono. Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate it, because I'm telling you right now, man, if you want to be the best version of yourself, I'm about to say version of yourself, which actually is applicable here. You got to go back and listen to everything that we've been saying for, it's been a month or so or more. It's been about a month.
More than that.
Listen to everything that we shared. It is 2 months. It's been designed. It's been designed to push you to be the best version of yourself. Now, if you want to be weak and be a crybaby and complain about everything, woe is me, this stream is not for you. I already realized this. Something just happened. I don't know who hit me. This stream is not for you. This stream is for those who want to go and accomplish. Thank you, whoever that, Mr. Man in Action. Dude, we got to get you on here, man. Thank you for your Cash App. I just received it, just dinged through. Appreciate that. This is for men who want to go to the next level. We're not just men because we got women. This is for people who want to go to the next level. But I'm not going to cut any slack. If anything I got from the person I talked about outside of the stream, we were talking, Jono, he didn't cut anybody no slack. Straight, raw, straight to the point. Either you like it or you don't. Yeah. And I realize it's something I need to, Mr. Man in Action. I appreciate it. Dude, I got to get you on. Matter of fact, here, since you right here, man, let me do this. Here, I'm gonna Mr. Man of Action, come up right now because we got to do an interview together. I'm putting a link right there. So definitely, this is not for the weak. You're going to have to compete or you're going to have to go home. I'm telling you, when you look at Michael Jordan, he competed and he decided not to go home. When you look at Kobe Bryant, he competed and he decided what? I'm not going home. He might have lost that game to Boston, but he came back the following year and said, you know what? I'm going to wear them out. That's what it's about.
Michael Jordan was competing on many levels. He was competing in basketball. He was competing in gambling. He was always in competition with somebody. He was always trying to beat somebody. He tried to beat and compete in playing baseball. And now, as of yesterday, he went and bought the first NASCAR,
right.
only black NASCAR thing, because he's in competition with racism. You know what I'm saying? Like he's forever competing against his last.
Right. And that's the problem. Nobody wants to compete. Everybody wants to complain and whine. But when are you going to compete and say there has to be more for you? Hey, Mr. Man of Action, there's the link right there. Come up and beam up. Definitely, you got to compete. I don't care what it is. If we're talking about people and content creators, you competing against the next content creator, whether we like it or not. Yeah, we all friends and everything. I understand, but you're competing. That is the nature. I mean, the nature of the beast. You have to compete.
Absolutely. It's the only way you're going to find out who's worthy.
Yeah. And guess what? Everyone is not worthy. Some people are just peasants. So just peasants because of their mindset. Think about it in the arena that we were in. We had to compete. We had to compete. Because I say this because I can say it in a broad way. The day I started, somebody went home.
Yeah. It happened to me when I started too. It happened to me. Sometimes your mentor is going to look at the whole situation and make an assessment just to make room for you. And you didn't know you was in competition with somebody the day you started.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And you didn't know you was in competition with somebody the day you left.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you don't control where that competition is led, somebody's gonna compete you out of your own game.
Right.
You can get checked out of your own game. You ever see how Papa John's CEO got put out of his own company?
Why? Mm-hmm.
Somebody pegged him. You know, I mean, all the billions he got in his pocket, he didn't have the good sense to have a publisher, so he wasn't in a fight with himself to lose the control of his own company. Now, we're not saying he don't have money. He had plenty of money. But to lose control of your baby to the point where somebody has to vote you out of your own company, something got to be wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was literally in a fight with himself and he lost.
On an open stage.
Mm-hmm. So we have to really pay attention to that. You have to think, like, who am I in competition with?
Yeah.
And if you don't identify who the enemy is, or at least the opposition, you'll be in big, big trouble.
Right. And I think many times the opposition we think is outwardly. Now we can go a little go a little bit deeper. But the real competition is always inside of you. I remember someone that we know said something about he was on the panel and they brought up if they're seeing a dog and they're walking down the street and the dog barks at them or bites at them, where did it really start at? With the dog, or did it start with him? So the individual said, I know it's the dog. And the mentor said, no, it started with you. And we don't realize that a lot of times we got to identify what in us are we hanging up on that's creating this obstacle for what we want. So like we said in the list, many times we're competing with a mindset or with baggage or with thoughts, what your parents said, what your mama and them said, what your cousin them said, what happened to you when you were younger. You're competing against that and not really and then it shows up in what? Other people. What did that society raised by single? Yeah, there's a lot of guys, but we're not going to use that as excuse. There's too much information out here for any person not to use that as an excuse anymore.
Yeah.
You can't use that as an excuse. There's too much stuff on YouTube. There's too much stuff on Google. There you can get therapy. You can get help. You need to unpack all that crap. So if you're using that as an excuse, I'm not saying you are, but if the people who are using that excuse, guess what's going to happen? It's your fault.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But it always starts with inside of you. What are you going to do to adjust inside of you? We didn't give you, have you looked at everything we talked about for this past 2 months? It's enough information to get you to the next level and beyond.
Yeah. It's about, and you know, we're spoon feeding it to you. We done did years and years and years. We got 30 plus years of research just in, you know, mental metaphysics and science of mind. We got at least 30 years between the two of us full of stuff that we've influenced people and changed lives and stuff like that. We're giving you literally the easy track.
That's the truth. Mr. Man of Action, I see. There you go. What's going on, bro?
What's up, man? What's up? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Word. Okay, yeah, I was just sliding by, man. I just saw you on live, so I wanted to hop on there, show some love real quick.
I see them speakers right there. You sound like somebody spins those records.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. Definitely be in the mix for sure.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I kind of came late. I just heard y'all spitting that flame, and I shout out to Adelina. I saw her drop that Cash App, so I definitely wanted to drop something off real quick.
I'm not hearing you. You're not hearing you, LDA. We're not hearing you. Your microphone might be muted. Yeah, we're not hearing you. It's muted.
Yeah, I don't hear.
You lost your audio. Like now you're muted. It says you're muted now. So we're not hearing you yet.
Yeah, he's definitely muted.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I had to unplug my mic for some reason.
Oh.
But yeah, so man, we talking about competition or compete or go home. So I know you got something to say because you've been doing this YouTube. You fresh on the block. You hitting it hard. So what you got to say about it?
On compete or go home?
Yeah, I mean you're in college. First, let's give a little background who you are, man.
Mm-hmm. I just graduated college in May.
Oh, congratulations!
Graduated, yeah, appreciate it. Graduated right during the pandemic when it was heavy, so it was like a YouTube graduation. But it is what it is. But when it comes to competing, I think it's a time and place for it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes if you force that competing mindset, it could be a chance where you could collab. You know what I mean? Like think about if we had the mindset of just competing. And that's why I said I don't know exactly where y'all started with this, but that's just what I think of when I first hear this. It's a time and a place for it. Sometimes you gotta turn it on and you gotta really like go crazy with it. And then it's another time when you're like, okay, you know, you think you're not my competition right now. You gotta kind of finesse it. So that's what I got on that.
That's what's up.
Sometimes you have to make an assessment and then really go after what you feel is going to be the goal when it comes to those type of situations. We all not supposed to win every battle that's fought, but we are supposed to participate to learn the lesson.
Facts. Yeah. I agree, man.
Yeah. And that's the reason why I did this stream is because I think a lot of we have lost that edge inside of our society where we do not compete. Think about it. You're at I got two DJs right here. Two DJs on the live stream. I ain't no DJ. I play music in the background, you know, know when the lovelies come over. But my point is, even in that industry, you have to compete on some level to get your name out there and for people to recognize that this is what you do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I think that's what I think people miss that competitive edge. But you said something too that's very important. We miss the other side of the coin, and that's collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the main thing I think of is like even with YouTube or anything, money in general, everybody can eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you gotta know when it's a time to collab and when it's a time to really put your foot down and be like, hey, I'm that guy right now. You know, it's definitely timing, but that's with everything in life. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
I feel like it's a pro and a con to everything. It's always two sides to the coin. But if you know when to turn it on and when to turn it off, that's when you're going to truly like get the success that you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, an easy indicator is, does this person bring value to me? If this person has value add, then guess what? They are in your circle. But if they're taken away from you and you feel a drain and some kind of a strain on your stress and your energy, and you just feel like this person, then your next goal is get them out of your life. You know what I'm saying? Eliminate them, because they're not supposed to be taken away from you. People, when you add one and one is supposed to make two, it's not supposed to be me and then all of a sudden it's grabbing this and pulling you down. It's not supposed to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're supposed to be putting yourself in a position of excellence and moving in the right direction. You know, it should be multiplication, not division. It's supposed to be, you know, giving me more, not taking away from my effort here, you know?
Right.
Facts.
Definitely. What you say? Ted to take over the mind. Okay. Go to sleep, Analia. But yeah, definitely, man. We supposed to do, we got to do a collab, man, because I think a lot of times people don't, I share a lot. Jono, this is my good buddy. We've been 10 years plus and offline.
Mm-hmm.
So I work with him. And I think a lot of times having a fresh face and a fresh voice that you offer, you probably pull out stuff in me that I don't even know that's there, that is down there. Because I know you ask certain pointed questions, especially about the game. Because a lot of times I don't share everything on here about the game that I know.
Yeah. And I know you know a lot, man. And I've been following you for a hot minute.
Wow.
So I already know what time it is. And I like how you implement the Most High, but you don't push it. You know, you're all over the place. I like it. I've been tuned in. And just real quick, because like I said, I was just hopping on the show Love real quick. When would be a good time for you, like in general? Because really, like, I know for me, Wednesday and Friday and Saturday are typically my worst days, but any other day is good for me. So like Thursday or
what time?
Let me check. I'm gonna check this real quick.
So this is collaboration at its best.
For real. I mean, it's typically around this time good for you? Like around...
Perfect. This is perfect. I mean, because what happens is I'm off at a certain time. So I'm off at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. So that works.
Okay. Yeah. So let's aim for, you said around 10:30. So I guess is 11, is that pushing it? Or you would say like 11:30 your time?
11 o'clock, I can be fresh and ready to go.
All right, for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna send you the link, and we'll do it on my channel. I'm gonna definitely get the thumbnail and everything like that set up, and I'll talk to you this Thursday, man.
Just Thursday. That's on time. I appreciate you coming up, dropping the coins. I appreciate that, man. Nothing but love over here. Like you said, we're here to collaborate, and I appreciate that. Man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna stay tuned in, but like I said, I'm gonna get up out of here. I just wanted to stop by real quick, connect with y'all brothers on this amazing topic. Appreciate everything y'all doing, man.
Take care, bro.
I appreciate it. Congratulations, too.
For sure. Appreciate it.
So that's what we're talking about, man.
Yeah.
If it's one life that's affected, that's what matters. We're at the hour mark already. I can't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good content. I mean, a lot of people need to realize that we definitely seen some things and we can recognize greatness in other people. And I'll tell you right now, this list of people we got right now, they're all going to move to the top, man. They're all moving to the top because they they accepted this particular training and this particular, point of view when it comes to where they know they're supposed to be, tested. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know the strength of something until you test it. And that's what we're seeing right now.
Uh-oh, you see that question? LDA, I heard you mention NLP in a stream you did with Lucario. Can modeling NLP shave off a lot of the trials and errors of years of learning through failure, or is it that still part of the process? Let me go where this is my first time tuning in, so I don't know what you all have covered so far. Okay, I think we covered a lot at the beginning of the stream because we went right to it. But NLP, I'm laughing because if we talk about NLP,
it's a whole world.
It's a whole nother world. If you listen to the last stream, at the end, there was NLP because we did a treatment. You remember that? We did a treatment. We did a whole treatment. So NLP is neuro-linguistic program, neuro-linguistic programming. So yes, there's part of that can shave off a lot of time. Yes, that is true. But I think to really dive into this and what we're talking about, I would cheat you because I wouldn't give you specifically what you need. And I don't want to cheat you. And then two, there's a price I paid to even get the information that talks about NLP. Eric Erickson and was Biner and some other people who are actually proficient at that. But I do know some NLP, but I also know some lines. It's not so much lines. So imagine with me telling you right now, as I'm talking to you, how beneficial it would be once you master NLP. That was a line right there.
Yep, you're right.
That was a line right there.
You're giving away the pearls, man.
No, I can't give away the pearls. I can't give away the pearls. I can't give it away. But yes, NLP is but see, this is the thing. I don't want you looking for NLP to be the magic pill to where you're trying to accomplish. NLP is just a part of it.
It's not the only piece. It's not the only piece. And I don't want to stray away from NLP altogether, but you got to take your licks in the real world first to understand how NLP controls a lot of the aspects of some of the things you already understand. But if you don't have a good understanding of how the world works, NLP will be a bad shortcut because you'll look for triggers and you'll use keywords and key things that belong to NLP before the meaning that it would place in a normal situation, and then you would be taking advantage of something that people won't understand why, and it'd be just a confusing result in some cases. They don't really train people with that until they've had some experience for a reason. And you need to go down that journey. You can't just take the shortcut. That's all I'm saying. You can learn it. You should learn it, but it should be in due time after you have made a lot of more interactions and can make an evaluation that your assessment of certain items are already tried and proven. And then NLP is a helpful force. It's a helpful antidote to some of the questions that may have need to be filled in.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because to share that and being an NLP practitioner is very certain things I don't think is expedient to share on this platform. There's something that needs to be shared behind closed.
It's multifaceted, and it takes a lot more time than maybe the hour would provide.
Yeah, because we're at the hour mark right now. But I will say this: begin to examine that roadmap to it slowly. And also, like we said before, it is not the only thing. Something we talked about years ago. It is just, we talked about predictive science. It's just a tool in the tool chest that you use. That's what NLP is. It's just a tool that's in the tool chest. It is not the only tool, but it's the tool in the tool sheet that you use to cut down the tree. And so I'm very, even though I brought it up on Mr. Lucario's show, shout out to Mr. Lucario. I'm very cautious in going into that for a reason,
Right.
because of the ramifications of what can happen. If it's like giving the keys to a toddler who doesn't know how to drive.
Yep.
And you don't want to give certain things, and not saying that you're a toddler. It's not toddler in the sense of a toddler, but the comprehension of what will happen if you use these tools and you use it to somebody's detriment or even to your own detriment.
Yeah. It's like hypnotism. Like, wow, you wouldn't hypnotize somebody that wasn't prepared for the whole entire exercise. You would actually fish out the people who were more susceptible first, and then the others, you'd have to train them at a certain level to get them there, and then everybody would be at the same level. Not everybody is ready to be hypnotized.
Right. Very true.
That's a whole other world,
Yeah, because people don't even know we know about that. So I remember that. Anyway, I'm just talking about some training. But yeah, and then we didn't even talk about the other training with Jose.
Absolutely.
That's a whole nother level. So there's what you think you're seeing right here. What y'all are seeing is the tip of the iceberg, or really what's beneath. It's much more to what you see between me and my brother right here. Much more.
Absolutely.
We were talking about Jose. That would be a whole another 5 hour, 2, 3. Well, y'all not ready for that. Anyway, so I want to thank everybody for coming. We're at the hour and 6-minute mark, and I want to thank everybody for coming through. This is Lawrence D. Adams, LDA. If you have any questions, this is your time to ask questions. We'll put the timer on, I'll put the music on, and we are going to be out. If you have any questions pertaining to what we're talking about, hit that Cash App and that PayPal and show some love to what we're doing. But definitely, you have any questions on what we're doing. I thank you for Andrew, I thank you for that question. I appreciate that. So I don't want to take it lightly. I know how far it can go.
Absolutely.
Got anything else, Jono?
No, I think we wrapped it up pretty tight.
Yeah. Go back and listen to what we said, because you say, well, how does this deal with game? Remember, game is strategy. It's about life. So it's not just about women. But if you listen to what we said, it applies. It applies. It applies.
Yeah. And like you said, if you don't have yourself set up right, you're not ready for the game. You know what I'm saying? You got to get your mind ready first. You got to think about where you're supposed to be before you can start taking on a project like something like a woman or another man. Literally, you have to figure out where you are. And if you don't even have any life goals, the first question they're going to ask you on the first date, they're going to be walking out the door.
And then you got to think, if you really want to be slick about it, you don't even need to. I'm not going to even go there. You might not even need. How gotta say this? You can set things up where you don't even have to take a date.
Mm-hmm.
It's just if you say the right thing. But I'm not gonna go there. Y'all want that? See, that's what they want. They want the free. How do we get that? We don't even have to take a date, and things are accelerating to a point where you'll be surprised. Trust me.
Absolutely.
I got stories. LDA is not innocent. So, man, we out of here, man. No questions, no answers. So we are going to end this. Peace.
Peace, everybody.
Have a good one.